Today, I wanted to talk about a post on Reddit called "The Point of Nagging is the Act of Nagging Itself," which was written by someone named Rich Before 30. Here's what he says, and I quote him: "Here is proof that nagging isn't about getting something done. If it's about getting the test done, the woman should be happy, satisfied, and relieved when the task is done. Instead, she's frustrated, confused, and worried, which doesn't make any sense. Women won't admit it, but I'm almost certain that the point of nagging is the act of nagging itself. It's an excuse for them to talk, which is more important to them than life itself. When you do the things she's been nagging about, she's probably mad as hell, because you took away her excuse to talk, you effing devil. Nagging isn't about a specific task. It's just a way for a woman to dump all of her emotional problems on you. Many women have so many bad feelings that they need to dump on men that they use any excuse they can to nag at them. If men knew that most nagging was just a way for women to use them as an emotional tampon, you'd get mad and not want to be with her anymore. And she'd end up hating herself because she couldn't slowly destroy your ego. There's a war going on between your mental health and her mental health. Put yourself in a woman's Puss in Boots, and if you needed to emotionally abuse someone so you didn't go crazy, you do it too. This is why women hate NGTOs so much. They don't just see it as male freedom and happiness. When you leave the plantation or are single and never have to listen to women complain again, it's like you've taken a woman with bipolar disorder's medicine away. Nigersaurus was looking for men to verbally puke on. World's Clown Show, if you've seen the third Matrix movie, called Revolutions. At the end, Neo is in Machine City to save them from Agent Smith, who has grown beyond their control. The machines scream at him and say, "We don't need you. We don't need anything." Neo just stands there calmly because he knows they do need him. It's the same reason I hear women say, "I don't need a man. I'm a strong, independent woman." Neo is the key to saving humanity. He has the answer and is willing to sacrifice everything for it. Let's take a look at how this ties in with her opening image of him standing on the bridge. They might not need us physically, but they do need us in other ways. It needs to be flushed out every once in a while, or it becomes very dangerous. In the West, women had an average of 8 children in 1800, 4 children in 1900, 2 children in 2000, and probably only 1 child in the next century. 200 years ago, women had an average of 8 children. This was because women's instincts were to nag at children, so they would clean up and work harder. Now that women don't have as many children, they have to keep their nagging skills up, so they grab the nearest man and use him as an emotional toilet. The masculinity of a man is the ability to overcome obstacles and difficulties. Women, on the other hand, are defined by their emotional and physical weaknesses. The lack of male caretakers leaves women with no opportunity to perform their natural roles of motherhood and child rearing. For a woman to regain her confidence in public, she must display her femininity. As Chris Rock always says, go for distance and irritation. They slowly wear you down with their complaints until you become dumb and submissive. This is testing behavior, and she wants you to fight back with your words. But most guys fail the test and just give in because it's easier to give up or withdraw than to fight her. Some of the men I met who fought back ended up with strokes, and one of them had to keep pressing a little bell on his wheelchair, like that character from Breaking Bad. Rich Before 30 says that if you listen to a woman's nagging and fix yourself, and do what she says, you take the game away, and you're a monster for doing it. She won't be able to dump all her toxic emotions on you anymore, because you're doing exactly what she wants. Women don't want you to solve their problems. They just want to complain about them and get them off their chests. They might say they want the problem solved, but when you do, they usually find another smaller problem that they blow up to the same size and ask you to solve it, and so on. They may say they'll leave you, but they never do. You can tell it's a bluff because they don't do what they say they'll do if you don't act a certain way. When a woman is nagging, the best thing to do is to ignore her or do what she wants, but do it in a bad way, which will only make her madder. She wants to turn you into a beta male slave. It's the old bait and switch. When she tells you that you're not doing things up to her standards, you pretty much tell her, If you want it done right, do it yourself. I don't have time to play these stupid games. If you don't like the work I'm doing, that's your problem, not mine. Use women's passive-aggressive ways of calming down against them. Make sure they don't know if you've done the best job possible based on your skills. From where I'm sitting, there are only a few things you can do if a woman nags. Walk away and go your own way, do what she says, and you'll be a beta simp. Act like a woman and be passive-aggressive or fight back, and in the long run, have a stroke or heart attack from always having to pass all her tests. I'm not a beta simp, and I never will be a beta simp, even though that is what would probably be the most logical end state relative to my current situation. You're not a beta simp, but you do seem to be struggling with your emotions as it pertains to being married, and that's a very common attitude. It's not clear whether you're feeling this way because you're in an abusive or unhealthy relationship, or whether it's just a general feeling of unhappiness that comes with being in a marriage. If you're not happy with your marriage and the way things are going, then talking to your partner about what you'd like to do is probably a good idea. Even if you don't explicitly say, "I want to leave," telling your husband that you'd like to try counseling might help him to come around. However, if you're not sure what you want from life and there's no clear answer for your relationship, then it's probably better for you to wait for some time before broaching the subject. The best thing to do is to stop playing her games and let her nag someone else or hurt herself because she doesn't have a man to abuse. If you still want to be with her, the next best thing to do is to become passive-aggressive. The other beta simp thing to do is to give in to her demands. That just makes her mad at you for giving in. Fighting back will, counterintuitively, make her like you more. Society says that men are better off when a woman is around. That's like saying a wild horse benefits from being trained by a horse trainer. Society says that because it's a woman's sexual fantasy to break into a man and turn him from a wild stallion into a Central Park buggy puller. The process of male domestication turns women on, and that's the type of sexual romance novel that women fall for the most. A tamed horse is also useful to society instead of running free in the open countryside. I've seen this kind of trickery, and many men have fallen for it. But in the end, it's the same. If you want to stay married for 20 or 30 years, chances are it will kill you early. Relationships that last a few years in the West, where she doesn't nag, but resents you, and then leaves you because of that resentment, are a lot healthier for you, because you're not dealing with constant emotional ups and downs. I would be very strict about these things if you know women. But don't mug yourself, you're still doomed. You have to know how much nagging and pain you can handle. This also applies to your sister and mother. If your father dies and your mother is alone, you have to be afraid that your mother will try to turn you into a spiritual son-in-law. You might not have to take care of her physically, but you might have to take care of her emotionally as she dries her eyes. That's it for today. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I'll see you all tomorrow. Take care. Him.